For Dorothy Tucker, a multiple award-winning veteran TV reporter at CBS News Chicago, reporting on her community is more than a job. It's personal. When she started her career in 1977, Dorothy noticed that too many of the news stories about the Black community were negative. That did not reflect her experience growing up on Chicago's West Side. So, Dorothy made it her mission to even the scales, taking the opportunity to report uplifting stories about her community as often as possible. Dorothy is a dedicated member and past president of the National Association of Black Journalists. She is passionate about mentoring up-and-coming reporters, giving feedback on their stories, reminding them to be fair and accurate, and helping them widen their perspectives. Currently, Dorothy is enjoying her position as a reporter with CBS News Chicago's investigative team. In 2023, she spearheaded a special titled Call to Action: Justice for Black Women, which examined the disproportionately high crime rate against Black women in Chicago. One of Dorothy's goals with this hard-hitting report is for Black women to be treated better in the judicial system. YWCA Metropolitan Chicago is proud to honor Dorothy Tucker as an outstanding racial justice leader.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want you to note from those photos that I had an afro long before natural hair was, popular. Let me say before I get started on what I've written is that I am so honored to be on this list with these impressive women. Congratulations again to the fellow honorees, and thank you for just allowing me to be with you. And on behalf of CBS News Chicago, thank you to the YWCA for this honor. Although I am the face of this series, an investigation like this doesn't happen without an incredible team and highly supportive managers. The key to our investigation was the data. It included 20 years of crime incidents, plus the age, race, and sex of every crime victim in Chicago. Data journalist Elliot Ramos analyzed more than 8 million pieces of information. His conclusion was mind-blowing, that Black women bore the brunt of crime in Chicago, not just for a couple of years, but year after year, consistently for more than 2 decades. Black women are only 16% of the city's population, but in 2022, they represented 24% of property theft victims, 28% of arson cases, 38% of battery victims, 40% of rape victims, and out of all the women who are victims of domestic violence, Black women represent 65% of them. When we heard those stats, we knew we had to do this story. We knew we wanted to spark change when Elliot shared what I think is another heartbreaking reality, that no one suffers more than young Black girls under the age of 18. Between 2001 and 2022, for every white girl attacked and injured, there were 18 Black girls hurt. You gotta let that sink in for a moment. And what is interesting is that police have all of this information, but much of it was buried in statistical reports that come out every year. Now, we don't know if police have ever analyzed their own reports, but when we shared our findings with the city's top cop and the county's top prosecutor, they were shocked. As journalists, the good news for us is that police reports include the names and sometimes the phone numbers of victims. Investigative producer Carol Thompson took on the laborious task of poring over pages of the reports to make a list of Black women who had been victims of carjackings, batteries, and sexual assault. I met with leaders of women's advocacy groups, reached out to churches and community organizations, asking them to refer Black women who might be willing to speak with me. The toughest part of this investigation was making the phone calls. I had to quickly explain to the women how I got their phone numbers and then hope they wouldn't hang up. Most of them didn't. They wanted to talk. Sometimes I was on the phone. Those were some hard conversations. It was really, really difficult to listen to their pain and their trauma. Sometimes I was on the phone for hours, just listening. Many of the women declined to go on camera. I understand. I am forever grateful to those who trusted me to tell their stories. Tamont Wolverton, Tim Visti, Reed Nolan, Brad Johnson are the talented photojournalists who shot the interviews. I know you don't know those names. What you need to know is that this would not happen without the people who are at Channel 2 and who make a difference in our stories. Tim did an amazing job of editing the series. Beginning in June of 23, we aired a total of 5 stories over 18 months. Last December, CBS News Chicago news director Jeff Harris suggested we do a half-hour special combining all the reports. It was a powerful half hour. If you haven't seen it, just go to CBS2 Chicago and then you can Google it. Okay. Just a couple of months after that, General Manager Jennifer Lyons gathered a group of us in her office. Carol, Community Impact Associate Producer Relicia Howard, Assistant News Director Dana Ballard, Executive Producer Sandy Pudar, and Rebecca McCann to discuss producing a 90-minute town hall. This past April, we hosted a call to action at Trinity United Church of Christ. It was a conversation that shined a light on the data and some of the issues contributing to the alarming rate of crimes against Black women. Our guests included the Cook County State's Attorney, the Police Superintendent, several experts in the domestic violence and victims advocacy space, and of course, YWCEO CEO Nicole Robinson. Since the Call to Action special, we've been running PSAs that offer viewers a QR code, linking them to a resource guide we created. That guide contains information on ways women in their most desperate hours can get financial, emotional, and mental health support. We will continue our series, Investigating Injustice, because we are committed to telling stories that help make Chicago safer for Black women, as well as everyone who lives, works, and visits here. Will the entire CBS Chicago team please stand? This is what excellence looks like. Thank you. And on behalf of the team, thank you again for this honor.